I am Sean Gilday, and I will be interviewing Mike Bove, who is plays instruments.
Yes, I do.
He's a very avid music goer. All right, question number one. When and why did you start playing music?
Well, to be very specific, I started playing music on September 15th, 2006. The reason I started wanting to play guitar was a year ago to the day I went to a Rolling Stones concert with my dad and my sister, and we were at the 15th row at Giant Stadium. And as soon as Keith Richards went out there and started playing Start Me Up, I knew just right then and there I wanted to start playing music.
All right. And which instruments do you play?
I play guitar.
Only the guitar?
Yeah.
That's very popular music type.
Yeah.
What was the first tune or like set of tunes that you learned?
I remember specifically on my first lesson, I guess it was. I learned how to, or attempted to learn how to play "Smells Like Teen Spirit" by Nirvana. Yeah. And my teacher tried to teach me how to do that, and of course, since it was like 3 days after I got a guitar, I couldn't play it at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first time I tried to learn how to play.
Yeah, you didn't start with anything simpler. Like when I first started playing guitar, there was when I tried to start playing something simple like "Oh Susanna" or
Yeah.
you can walk through, and just like simple stuff like so. You didn't do anything like that. You went straight for
He first started like showing me like the really basic stuff, like just like the notes on the first string or two and stuff like that. But then he asked me like near the end if there was any song I wanted to learn how to play, and that's the one I wanted to learn.
I would do that.
Yeah.
Yes, mate.
Yeah.
All right. Is your family musical at all?
I don't think anyone in my family really plays music. I know my mom used to play piano when she was little, or as a kid, I guess. And my brother started playing guitar with me, and he gave it up pretty quickly, and then tried drums for a little bit. But it's mostly only me.
Yeah. But I mean, like they all deeply enjoy music, right? Because if you go to concerts with your dad, do you go with your brother at all at some point?
Yeah, I've been to a lot of concerts with my dad and my brother. Probably over 40 concerts I've been to.
Wow, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been to quite a few.
I'm jealous. All right. Gary got that one. Which famous musicians do you admire and why? And this might be a lengthy list, I know.
Yeah, just to name a few, Slash is probably my favorite guitar player from Guns N' Roses and Velvet Revolver. I love David Gilmour, John Lennon, George Harrison, Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains, a lot of others that I can't think of right now.
Yeah, it's pretty classical list, I'd say.
I'd like to think so.
I mean, as a guitar player, I'd say you'd be more into classic rock. Classic/hard, maybe. I don't know. Whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of both actually. A lot of classic and hard rock.
Yeah.
Mostly from either when I was a kid or from before then.
Yeah, that makes sense. Who was your favorite teacher?
It was probably Ray West. When I was trying to be a music major a couple of years ago. I was doing it for about a couple of months, and I had to practice 5 hours a day. He gave me a lengthy list of stuff I had to do every week. And he was probably one of the teachers I had that gave me the most confidence and gave me the right mindset I had to be in to be able to attempt to be a professional musician. So yeah, Ray West is probably the best teacher I had and my favorite.
And where does he teach music at?
I don't know if he still does anymore, but when I was under his tutelage, it was in South Orange, New Jersey. It was just it's a small town from right where I'm from. It was just like this little place called I think Mark Murphy's Music, something like that. Pretty sure.
Yeah. And were you would he take students like one at a time, or was it kind of like a big room full of students? Like were you his only student?
Yeah, it was a one-on-one type thing. I know he must have had a few other students, but I think I was the only one that was like really seriously trying to do something with it rather than just like picking up a guitar and trying to learn how to play.
All right, yeah, it's definitely one of the better ways to learn. Well, describe your first instrument. You said it was a guitar, but do you have your first guitar that does it mean a lot to you? Is it special in any way?
Well, that's an interesting question actually. I actually attempted to learn how to play guitar in 4th grade.
Oh.
So, but that was only for a couple of months. And I did this like little recital thing, but I was what, 9 years old at the time. I didn't really take it very seriously. I didn't like practicing or anything at that point. I was always like had to be forced to do anything. But yeah, I mean, it was just like a little like a smaller version of an acoustic guitar that my grandparents got me. But one of the guitars I really enjoyed having, I had a Stratocaster, Fender Stratocaster for a while that one of my ex-bandmates let me have, and he actually took it back because he needed it for a band he was getting into at the time. But that was probably my favorite guitar that I had, was Fender Stratocaster.
That's an electric guitar?
Yes,
electric guitar. Just making sure there. I'm not a big... And that must have been cool.
Yeah, it
was
a
band guy's electric guitar. Like, what color was it?
It was blue, white and blue. It was like a dark, like a navy blue kind of color. It was good.
Had a good sound?
It played very well. I really miss it, actually.
Did you shred on that thing?
Yes, it did. It was, oh man, it's a good guitar.
Let's see. What are your fondest musical memories?
Probably being in a band I was in right after I graduated high school. I was in a band for the summer, and it was with a couple of my like really good friends from when I was a kid, and they were very, very good musicians. Like the bass player was going to Juilliard for bass at the time, and he actually goes to grad school at Juilliard now. And the drummer was a percussion major at Northwestern. It was probably one of the leading percussion programs in the country. So like I had very good players to play with, and I was kind of on like a lower like skill level than they were, like at least experience wise. But it was probably the most fun I had was those 2.5 months.
That's like the best like place to learn, I guess.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I learned a lot playing with them.
Like, do they teach you things, like any like pointers or anything?
Yeah, they gave me a lot of pointers, just like how to stay within the groove of the song that we're doing, and just like play through things that I wouldn't have known if I'd played with just people that had just started or anything like that. It gave me a lot of experience that I'm happy to get.
And not a lot of people get to do stuff like that. These guys going to like prestigious schools. That must
it was
nice.
It was. I got lucky.
Were you influenced by old records and tapes? And if so, like what kind of stuff was it?
Yeah, I would say so. I think like one of my favorite albums is Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses, and that was an album from like 1987. So like, I mean, a lot of the stuff I grew up on listening to was a lot of old stuff like the Beatles, the Who, the Rolling Stones. Like that's what my dad liked when he was a kid. So that's what I heard when I was little. I heard that all the time.
There's a lot of like your parents' stuff. Like you pretty much like grew up on like the rock and roll that like your parents listened to.
Yeah, basically, yeah. More than anything else, that's what I grew up listening to.
It's basically what happened to me too, and it's a shame that this generation won't get to experience that.
Yeah, I feel bad for them.
Pretty sad. Let's see. Well, you already went over this. You touched on this a couple times, but like what's your what are your favorite like music groups? I'd say like a couple more. Like, do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah.
You already said
the Beatles are probably Guns N' Roses and the Beatles are probably my top two. Just because the Beatles I literally have heard since I can remember, and I know like their music is just part of my life, I guess. I can't really describe it any other way. I grew up with it. It's just something that was just woven into my life. I didn't really have a choice in the matter. It was just kind of lucky that I liked it as much as I did. And Guns N' Roses I found when I just started really liking music like right before high school, and they just the kind of music they play and their message and all that really spoke to me at the time, and it's what I needed at the time to hear. It's the kind of music I really wanted to listen to, and I expanded a lot more through that. Like I started listening to a lot of grunge after that, like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, Soundgarden.
Into the '90s.
Yeah, and I kind of went off from that, and then like a lot of like the newer like hard rock bands like Shinedown and Skillet's an interesting band. They're pretty good too. Like a lot of bands like that. Yeah.
So basically, it was kind of like Guns N' Roses. I say would be like the catalyst of like your musical likings.
Yeah, that's where I started really wanting to like play and learn a lot about music was them.
Alright, let's see. Have you ever been in any competitions for music? Anything like maybe like a battle of the bands or something?
Kind of. I don't know if it was a competition. It was more recitals than anything else. Like I would, if I had like an individual teacher, then I would always have to do a recital at the end of the year. But in high school, I was in the guitar club, and we had a recital at the end of the year where I played a Metallica song with just the guitar and some other guy playing guitar too. So like it was more recitals than not really competitions per se.
Yeah, so that brings to the next question. Like, did you perform in public? Like, were these recitals? Was like there a lot of people there?
Yeah, well, when I was with my band after high school, I played in the park at 4th of July in my town. There's probably a couple hundred people there for that. That was fun. I played in my friend's backyard for a gig, and I was actually supposed to play at a Giant Stadium. I was supposed to play at a fair outside there, but that didn't really get to work out. But that's another story for a different day.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, it was. We worked hard for that, and that never came to fruition. But yeah, I played outside a few times. It was good. I like playing to a public crowd.
So, like, how do you handle if you had any? How would you handle mistakes during a performance?
It's not really something you can handle, I guess. It's just that
you can't plan.
You just gotta keep going. It's just like you gotta forget about it. Like I can think of times now from when I was playing live where I know I messed something up, but it was like, all right, well, I can't do anything about it now. I just gotta keep playing and just make sure like I keep doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Like, could you tell like that the audience noticed, or you think like they just didn't know that you messed up? Like, was it like, I don't know, like, could you tell by their reactions that they're still into it?
I was so focused on what my bandmates were doing and what I was doing to really notice what the crowd thought. I know my bandmates probably knew if I messed up or not, and I sure as hell knew if I did, but I don't think the audience would, unless like we were playing a cover of something that was really famous or something, and they would like if I messed up really badly or something, which I don't think I ever did. But if it was something like obvious, then they would know. But I don't think I ever did anything like that.
For the most part, they all went pretty well then. Right?
Yeah.
Nothing.
All the live performances I had were very good.
Yeah. And do you ever get nervous before a performance or a competition that you've been to?
Yeah, I always get extremely nervous. I have a stage fright a little bit, so. Yeah, I still don't really know how to handle it. It's more just like getting up there, and as soon as I start playing or whatever, then I feel fine for the most part. But yeah, I always get very nervous before I start playing.
Yeah. All right. What advice would you give to beginners that who just start out and who get nervous before like a play or something? Like anything?
Well, I think the best advice I can give somebody is when you're learning the basics of music and everything, that really, really pay attention to it. Because that's stuff that you're going to need for, it's the whole foundation of knowing how to play music. And, it's great to learn all the types of songs you want to learn and all that type of stuff, that's always fun, but you really got to put all the work in to be able to understand how all of that works, too. There's a lot more work to knowing how to play an instrument, know how to play it well than people might think. But I would say the best advice I can give for when you're just starting out is really understand the theory and the music, the basics of the music to be able to go further with it.
Start off knowing what scales, maybe all what notes are on the frets and such like that, basic chords, anything stuff you build off of.
Right. Yeah. It's just little things knowing if you're in a certain key, knowing which chords or at least which notes can be in that key. Stuff like that is just really general stuff that you should know how to do. And just anything like that, that's the basis of anything you want to learn how to do first is that. Especially if you want to be in a band or anything. That's stuff you have to know. So that's something I always worked hard on, and I still work hard on. I still work with that type of stuff all the time. So that's probably what I would say for that.
Okay. And one last question. When you're in the peak of your musical career, how long would you practice for? A day or a week, or if you did practice at all?
Well, when I was in a band, it was hours at a time, just every day. Every day.
Oh wow.
But at least when I was in a band, we were trying to learn our set list and fix little kinks in the songs or anything like that. But when I was a music major for a while, I had to practice 5 hours a day, every day.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and you ask any music major now, that's at least how long they practice every day. Even if they don't have something coming up, they just have to stay on top of everything. So yeah, it takes a lot of time, and I remember even I had to practice in my car between classes sometimes in my old college because I didn't have time any other time during the day to do it.
All right. Well, that's everything I wanted to ask you. Thank you for the interview.
You're very welcome.
And once again, this is Mike Bove